Brazil's foreign ministry issues an official memo and admits that Brazil is at risk of military action from the United States after the Trump administration classified the PCC and Comando Vermelho as terrorist groups.
The current Brazilian government issued a document warning of the extreme risk that the United States could carry out operations against criminal factions within national territory. This document, signed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, mentions twice the imminent risk of direct actions against Comando Vermelho and the PCC. Instead of seeking alignment with Donald Trump's government to confront a common enemy, Brazil shows more concern about the possibility of American intervention than about the factions that have been disturbing the peace of the population for decades.
We are against it. The government is not categorically against it. We are against this project that equates criminal factions with terrorism. Terrorism has a political and ideological objective.
All of this affects your mental health. It affects your psychological state. It's someone who can resist and live in a place like this.
This stance reveals a dangerous contradiction because inaction in the face of crime only strengthens the groups that operate on a transnational scale even more. According to the document signed by Chancellor Mauro Vieira, designating the factions as narco-terrorists could allow United States authorities to apply unilateral and extraterritorial administrative and judicial measures against Brazilian individuals, companies, or organizations. This even includes entities with no direct ties to the United States, but that have proven connections to the criminal groups. The warning is significant because it shows that Brazilian intelligence has detected movements by the Southern Command in the region, especially after the massive arrival of military personnel in Venezuela. Officially, the Southern Command's military personnel landed in Venezuela to help earthquake victims, but the current Brazilian government saw broader strategic objectives. But what exactly made the Planalto Palace issue this warning? Welcome to Vida no Quartel. Vida no Quartel. The presence of the CIA in Brazil, already reported in several videos here on the channel, reinforces the content of the document. The White House does not act blindly, and the actions of American intelligence agents confirm that there is constant surveillance over Brazilian territory. The recent identification of several Russian spies operating in Brazil reinforces the narrative that intelligence agents from various countries are working in the shadows on national territory.
Gerard Daniel Campos Vitic, the friend of these people from Rio, fled the country 3 years ago. His real name and those of 2 other Russian spies had already been revealed by Fantastico, which has been following the federal police investigation into the case of the infiltrated agents since 2022.
This scenario shows that Brazil is part of a complex geopolitical dispute where organized crime has become a matter of international interest. Ignoring this reality is to make room for the factions to become even more consolidated, bringing Brazil closer and closer to becoming a narco-state, even though many already consider this to be a fact. The combination of military power and the expertise of the Southern Command, together with the investigative capabilities of the CIA and the FBI, creates a lethal barrier against the PCC and Comando Vermelho. This combination of forces represents a real threat to criminal organizations, which depend on international trafficking routes and money laundering to survive. The presidency, which should be at the forefront of national coordination, unifying the armed forces and police, is proving to be completely inert. The police act independently in each state, while the armed forces remain in their barracks, even suspending operations at the border due to lack of funds. Meanwhile, countries like Paraguay and Ecuador continue extraordinary offensives against organized crime. Ecuador, for example, has imposed curfews in specific areas and mobilized more than 75,000 military personnel to operate permanently in regions dominated by narco-terrorists. In addition, they authorized the entry of American military personnel into their territories for joint operations, avoiding any unilateral action. This stance demonstrates strategic maturity and a willingness to face the problem collectively, something that Brazil should be doing right now. Brazil should be in meetings with U.S. Southern Command, mobilizing collective efforts and strengthening historical partnerships. The Brazilian and American armed forces are friendly forces and have a long-term strategic relationship. The federal police, in turn, have always operated together with the FBI in transnational investigations. However, what we see is the current government trying at all costs to prevent operations against heavily armed criminals from being carried out, even going so far as to condemn police actions. This stance further weakens internal security and gives the impression of a vulnerable country. We all want a sovereign country, and no one wants to see their nation being invaded. But it's necessary to separate the idea of invasion from the idea of a specific action against heavily armed criminals, even using drones to attack the police.
And crime is becoming more and more brazen and technologically sophisticated. Criminals use drones to monitor rivals, plan attacks, and even track police operations. Put the images on the screen for me, please, and watch, follow along, because a drone was seized. And there, in reality, it shows that they use this technology in confrontations, even when they're heavily armed, okay?
Violence and corruption in Brazil have reached unbearable levels, and the system works to feed organized crime. Counting on the support of the world's largest military force to mitigate the reach of criminal factions shouldn't be seen as something negative, but rather as an opportunity, as has even been mentioned by the governor of São Paulo, Tarcísio de Freitas.
It's an opportunity. I think I see this as an opportunity because from the moment that a government like the United States sees the PCC as a terrorist organization, which is in fact what they are, it becomes easier. The path to cooperation is open so that we can coordinate intelligence, bring in funding, and fight even more effectively.
This opportunity to count on the military and technological power of the United States to fight crime should be well used by Brazil to weaken the criminal structures that have now infiltrated public agencies, corrupting agents and senior officials. The Southern Command integrates all the American armed forces and has impressive capabilities. With state-of-the-art stealth jets, amphibious vessels, highly lethal troops, destroyers, and aircraft carriers capable of projecting power quickly in any region. This structure allows for large-scale coordinated operations with surgical precision and the ability to neutralize strategic targets. Ignoring this potential is turning a blind eye to an opportunity for cooperation that could bring concrete results against organized crime. In addition to military power, the Southern Command has intelligence and logistics strategies that enhance its effectiveness. Integration with agencies like the CIA and the FBI ensures that military operations are accompanied by thorough investigations, tracking of financial flows, and dismantling of international networks. Player4u.com BR. This multi-dimensional approach is exactly what Brazil needs to confront factions that already operate as true transnational corporations. The lack of national coordination makes the country vulnerable and unable to respond adequately. In summary, the document issued by the Brazilian government reveals more than just a diplomatic concern. It exposes internal fragility and the lack of willingness to confront organized crime forcefully. Brazil should be taking advantage of help from the United States and other countries in the region, creating a unified front against a common enemy. The hesitation to act strengthens the factions and perpetuates the violence that plagues the population. The warning that the United States may carry out military action in Brazil at any moment against the PCC and the Red Command shows that when a country does not take the reins to solve its own problems that affect the world, another country will take control of the situation. And the next few days could be crucial for crime in Brazil. If you want a specific video showing how the Southern Command could act in Brazil, leave it here in the comments. And for you, fighter, who values convenience in everyday life, the kit with 5 dry fit shirts for less than 60 rays is the right choice. These are lightweight, durable shirts made with technology that quickly absorbs and evaporates sweat, making them ideal for gym workouts or daily use at work. In addition, they don't fade, dry in minutes, and don't need to be ironed, bringing much more convenience to your routine. By clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment, you who follow Vida No Quartel can get your kit with 5 dry fit shirts for less than 60 rays and still receive it at home with all the safety and delivery guarantee from Mercado Libre. Here at Vida No Quartel, you stay up to date with everything happening in the military world. Leave your like, subscribe, and watch one of the videos that's appearing on your screen. Forward fighters, see you next time.